We will remember them.
We will remember.
We will remember them.
We will remember them.
Hello, my name's Oliver Dowden. I'm the chairman of the Conservative Party and Member of Parliament for Hertsmere. And today, of course, as on every Remembrance Sunday, we're remembering the sacrifices made by so many in the two world wars and subsequent conflicts to defend the freedoms and liberties that we enjoy today. And in towns and villages up and down the country, there are memorials where we remember that sacrifice. But behind the large statistics, there are millions of individual stories. So this Sunday, we're remembering the stories of members of Parliament who followed the call and served their country during the conflicts of the two world wars, recalling some of their stories.
I'm Boris Johnson and I'm the MP for Uxbridge and South Ruislip, and back before the First World War it was just known as Uxbridge, and the Member of Parliament was a man called Charles Mills, who was born in 1887, and here he is. And he left school, went to work in a bank, and actually he had a curious fluke in his life. He and his father were due to sail on the maiden voyage of the Titanic, but didn't do that. Joined the House of Commons, very tender age of 23. He was the baby of the House of Commons, and he was called up to serve in the First World War and fought in the Battle of Loos. And on the 6th of October 1915, the Member of Parliament for Uxbridge, Charles Mills, was killed in action, and he has no grave. But today there is a plaque to his memory in the Charles of St John the Baptist Church in Hillingdon, and on that plaque there's an excerpt from the Pilgrim's Progress, the longest version of which reads as follows. I'm going to my father's, and though with great difficulty I am got hither, yet now do I not repent me of all the trouble I have been at to arrive where I am. My marks and scars I carry with me, to be a witness for me that I have fought his battles, who now will be my rewarder. So he passed over, and all the trumpets sounded for him on the other side.
I'm Sarah Atherton, Member of Parliament for Wrexham, and when I left school at 16, I joined the Army Intelligence Corps, and I always polish my shoes, and I always get to a meeting 5 minutes early. When I was in the army, remembrance always meant polishing your shoes and your boots, parading, going to church, giving thanks and praise to those who have made the ultimate sacrifice to protect our freedom and our liberty and our lifestyles that we enjoy today. Then going back to the NAFI, celebrating comradeship, listening to my colleagues who spoke about their predecessors in World War I and World War II, we must also remember the fallen of our recent conflicts in the Balkans, in Iraq and Afghanistan and further afield. And we must remember their families and the veterans that we support today.
I'm John Howell. I'm the Member of Parliament for the Henley constituency. And back in 1917, this man, Valentine Fleming, was the MP for that constituency. He was a Scotsman. He was born up in Fife, and he came down to London and married, and then came out and became the MP for the constituency. But he had two sons, Robert and Ian. And Ian Fleming, is of course the writer of the James Bond novels. So there is a great link through to today. Valentine was a great leader of men, and he displayed that in the army. But when the army first sent him out to France, they sent him to Dunkirk, and I'm afraid he was kicking his heels for a large amount of his time there, until they sent him up to the front. And when they sent him up to the front, the action really started. And sadly, he was killed and is buried out in France on the Somme. But in fact, Winston Churchill gave his obituary in the Times when he died, and this is what he said. The loss to the regiment is indescribable. He was absolutely our best officer, utterly fearless, full of resource, and perfectly magnificent with his men. So, you know, a great leader, and I think the constituency lost a great MP when he died.
I'm Anthony Mangnall. I'm the Member of Parliament for Totnes and South Devon, and I was elected in 2019. But one of my predecessors is Sir Ralph Rayner, who was elected in 1935 and served throughout the Second World War to 1955. At the outbreak of the Second World War, Sir Ralph joined the army and rose to the rank of brigadier, but perhaps one of the most memorable experiences and one of the most told about experiences he had during the war was on the 5th of May 1945, where he entered into Hitler's bunker only a few days after Hitler had committed suicide. He was one of the first Allied soldiers to do so, and accompanied by a Soviet soldier, he kept a memento of that experience in the form of Hitler's personal telephone, as well as an Alsatian figurine. At the end of the war, he took leave from the army and rejoined as a Member of Parliament and served out his time in Westminster, reminding people of his experience, but also speaking up about the peace and democracy that he and so many others had fought so bravely for. I think it's a moment and opportunity to pay tribute and to reflect on those who came before us, who paid the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom, our liberties and our way of life. And it's important that we always pay homage to them and remember their sacrifice for our existence.
We will remember them.
We will remember.
We will remember them.
We will remember them.